I grew up in a very traditional family in Albania. They allowed me to go to college, and there I fell in love. But my family wanted me to marry someone else, so my boyfriend and I ran away to Rome.
I came with my husband from Syria in hope of a better life. War is no life.
They target you when you're drunk, when it's wet and cold and you're hungry, when it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you've got nowhere to go.
And I rang my family, but they disowned me.
He was called Ty. He was the gang leader. I was no one and he picked me. I hated my mum's new boyfriend. And now I have one of my own.
We paid a criminal gang a lot of money to transport us.
I was sleeping on a park bench when they approached me. Took me outside of London to pick fruit and veg.
In Rome, my boyfriend became a different person.
We came through Cali in the back of a lorry.
We all took drugs.
Not loving, saying I belonged to him.
We still owed for the journey.
Forcing me to perform sexual acts.
I didn't want to stand out, so I took them too.
We were very vulnerable. We had nowhere to live. We couldn't speak the language.
Another man came to the hotel room with a gun.
Went into a world of numbness off my face most days.
And told me that he paid my boyfriend 3,000 euros for me, and that if I didn't go with him, he'd kill me.
Back in 2010, I'd gone for a coffee with one of my old university lecturers who's a criminologist. It was one of those conversations that I remember so clearly because it absolutely changed the course of my life.
I've been on a long journey to get as involved as I am now.
Back then, I didn't even know that this was an issue that we were facing.
Many years ago, I was running a day centre for homeless people in the East End of London. And it became increasingly obvious that there were a significant number of very vulnerable and exploited young women.
While an operations manager for a fruit and veg business 20 years ago, my factory appeared on Panorama for the illegal employment of over 200 staff. We didn't do anything wrong, and I'll still defend that to this day, but we didn't do enough because it was going on in the business and we had no idea. So that's how I got into this.
But they never asked for their own needs. The men did. They shouted loud and they made sure they got what they wanted. But the women just kind of tagged along, had a bit of something to eat and left.
Unfortunately, it still goes on that people are exploited and treated terribly and held against their will. One of the biggest problems that we face in the modern slavery arena is that the offences are hidden.
The crimes that make the most money for the traffickers are crimes for which they need women. Sexual exploitation, domestic servitude, forced marriage.
Modern slavery is flourishing because we're living through a perfect storm. There are more and more vulnerable people who are desperate for an opportunity for work. Ways of work have changed, they're flexible, 0 hours. We don't know who's providing the food in a restaurant or making our clothes. We are more and more hungry for goods and services that are cheap, and we don't even notice really what other people are doing. We're indifferent.
Finding out about modern slavery, acknowledging that it happens in our communities is the key thing.
I'm still always shocked at the amount of people that don't know that this happens in our country and across the world. So the awareness raising is very important.
I think we've got to have the courage to realise that if civilisation's going to work when so much is happening online and out of sight, then all of us have got to look out for each other, and modern slavery is the sort of measure of how well we're doing. What a challenge to those of us who believe in morality and values that say that everybody is precious.
I've now specialised in modern slavery because I'm a mother and I would never want something like that to happen to my own child. So that's the fight, that's why I'm doing it, because everybody's somebody's child and nobody deserves to be treated in the way that some of these people have been treated.